Hello, friends. Welcome to the Kapeel Gupta Career Pod Show. And nowadays, we are actually, in the earlier podcast also, we were talking about the culture shock, like a feeling of confusion that you may have when you go to live in or visit a country that is very different from your own. And as far as Indian parents are concerned, and in fact, I shouldn't say Indian parents, it might go for any parent or belonging to any nationality, that they are worried about their kids when they go abroad, that how they'll cope up and etc. So today I have, invited a very close friend of mine, this Pooja Gupta, who, after completing her BTech in biotechnology from Heritage Institute of Technology in Kolkata, went to Iowa State University to pursue PhD in genetics. That is in 2009. She graduated in 2014 and started working as a scientist in a small startup in Bangalore. After coming back to US, worked as a postdoctoral associate at University of Kansas Medical Center, and from here joined Colgate Palmolive as a senior scientist. She left her job in August 2022 to take parental break to raise her 13-month-old, very, very cute and lovely daughter. But yes, she's staying in US right now and handling this, and she has great experience, and I thought she will be the right person because she underwent all through this. So let's straight away hear from her that what and how she went about doing this. So hi Pooja,
Hi,
welcome to the Career Pod Show,
thank you.
and it's really nice to see you. It seems a very breezy morning.
Yeah, it's a nice day for a change in Texas, which is not as cool always.
Okay, okay. So, see, as I just mentioned, that I'm discussing about the culture shock. Uh, because as Indians, let's talk about Indians, what they go through. So, first of all, even before talking about the culture shock, I would like to know that why and when did you take this decision that you want to go abroad for your higher studies?
So, initially, after I joined BTech, my plan was after 1 year, I'm going to switch to computer engineering.
Okay.
And because first year is common for all engineering classes, and I got a seat in biotechnology. I took it. At that point, I wanted to be in computers, and I thought, okay, 1 year later, there's an option, and I can switch. But before that, I started classes. Before I had the option to switch, my classes started, and I just fell in love with the subject. And it was just amazing. Like, I had never learned anything like that. Genetics really, really, like, was something which I had not even known. Like, it has such a big realm of knowledge, and things like beyond your imagination. It was beautiful, the biology of it. And then, just when you think about, okay, this is, I know this is what I want to do, but what next? Because as typically in engineering colleges that time, this is, I joined engineering college in 2004. Everybody got placed, no matter what stream, branch, whatever, wherever you came from, you got placed either in Wipro or TCS. That was the norm. And I just didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. Like, I really, really wanted to study biology. And there was no, at that time, I think now India's advanced quite a bit on that front, but at that time there was nothing, like nothing for any biotechnology engineering student to get into as a fresh graduate.
Yes.
So after, and seniors in college, there were quite a few who went abroad. There were quite a few professors who had studied in abroad. They had, like, after a while came back and were teaching in our
Mm-hmm.
colleges. So just talking to everybody, I realized that there is a much broader scope of my subject. There's much more, because biological research asks for a lot of money, which is
Okay.
definitely abundant in countries like US, and they have a very heavy focus on research. So
Hmm.
that is how I decided. Initially, I wanted to do masters. I didn't think I was ready for a PhD at that moment. I thought it was a big commitment. But eventually, I applied to universities, and Iowa State was one university whose coordinator actually said, like, why do you want to do a master's? Your profile is eligible for a PhD, so why don't you give it a thought? So I took 1 year. I joined college as an intern. I did some research. I gained experience. And then I realized that, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. And I really love it. And I accepted the offer from Iowa State University to pursue my PhD.
Okay, so I can say that initially it wasn't a conscious decision, but
No.
you kind of went with the flow. You did your research, talked to your professors, etc., and that led you to take this decision, right?
Right. If you are like, if you were in computer engineering or something, you probably, I wouldn't have like thought about coming abroad, because I know there's a lot of scope in India already. I don't have to think about it. But it was just my passion for my subject. I really did not want to switch careers at that point and go
Hmm.
completely into programming and stuff,
Hmm.
like it was the only job available for any engineer at that time. So this was where life was taking me, and that was it. So
So because even during those days, we can say that there was too much of yeah, too many students switching to computer engineering. So
yeah.
just because of that, you had that inclination. Okay, let me also try my hand there.
Mm-hmm.
But in the
Yes.
process or in the meantime, you fell in love with the subject and you realize,
Right.
okay, this is your niche, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now coming to the next question with that, because let's say when you finally decided that okay, you want to go abroad, so what was the feeling like at home, or what was your psychological preparation? Were your parents immediately they gave a go ahead, okay, go, you can live your life, Simran, that kind, or there was some you can say थोड़ा सा उस विरोध था उस पे, right, some
Um,
opposition.
so the whole process is a long process. So it was not like one sudden day I am saying that I'm going.
Hmm.
But thankfully, my parents were quite supportive. And I
Okay.
think more so because it was more of my mom's support. My dad would still be hesitant. He was not sure about sending me alone somewhere. I had never lived anywhere else except home.
I'll
But
say
my
that is
mom had,
even today
yeah,
because
yeah.
fathers are more protective of their
Yes,
daughters. That's the same
exactly.
story.
So mom was, but mom always, like, she always used to tell me that she really wanted to study growing up, but she was not allowed. She was married off early. And this was like, she's been telling me this from like when I was little, that, I couldn't study, but I want my daughter to study as much as she wants to study.
Right. Right.
So it was mostly always my mom who was like, yes, you do whatever you want to do, and I'm right behind you, and I'll support you in any way. Because, I was from a middle class family. College applications, just sending the applications off, everything is a damn expensive process.
Right.
It was a lot of, I remember we didn't have any credit cards, and I had to pay all the fees, application fees online. So I had to ask a lot of people. Somebody helped me with their credit card. So it was a lot of cumulative effort as well. But my parents were quite supportive. Of course, it took a little bit of convincing for my dad, but overall, I didn't face a lot of restrictions from them or anything. They believed in me. So I think, and that
Great.
helps a lot.
And did you do the whole process yourself, or you took the help of some consultant also?
No, I did the whole process myself. I don't even think at that point there was anything like that. I would have really, really appreciated if there was somebody who could have guided me, helped me. Because looking back, I did, apply to some colleges which I shouldn't have applied to, and, just wasted money that way. So it could
Okay.
have saved me a lot of money. It could have saved me a lot of, like, if somebody had told me that, what a difference between masters and PhD would be, I might have just applied for PhD, and I might have
Hmm.
gotten in a year earlier than a year later. So
Okay.
I really wish there was some kind of counseling like you are doing right now for me at that point.
Great, great. And what kind of like psychological preparation you did for yourself, like preparing mentally that okay, now you are taking this step, going all alone.
Um, Looking back, I think at that time you're so young, you're just so excited about the whole thing that you are not thinking a lot about, what you are leaving behind and things like that. At that time, you are in too much into that zone of, you now have admission and now you have to get your visa, and there are students you connect with on the university and they'll send you a list, oh, you need to get these things, you need to buy these things. So I think at that time it's a lot of excitement which covers your, fears inside that you might have.
Right, right,
So definitely it's difficult. You look back into that house and you think, okay, this is probably, I'm never coming back like to live here again. It's like
mm,
a bye forever kind of a thing. There are
okay,
so many friends you will never be able to talk to again. At that point there was no WhatsApp or anything of that
right,
sort, so it was not as easy as now to
mm,
keep connections alive.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it
no,
was difficult, but I'd say excitement mass over this. But you would see your parents are sad because they realize it more than you that you are going to leave, and those moments are really tough.
So, did you have any contacts because you did not take anybody's help? So, you were doing all by yourself. So, when you finally landed in US, so did you have any contacts earlier here, somebody waiting for you to help you out? So, how did you manage everything?
So the good thing about here about most universities is like all of universities will have an Indian Students Association. So once you
Okay.
get an admit, at that time Orkut was the
Yeah.
platform of Facebook.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
they used to have groups like that. So there was an Iowa State group and there was an Indians at Iowa State group. So you post there and then they will send you, a form, and they used to form a Yahoo group. So
Okay.
these Indian students, they formed a committee and they had a very strong responsibility of ensuring that new students coming into that university are well taken care of. They
Okay.
actually arranged accommodation for us for initial days so that we can stay with them and we can find our own apartments. They helped us with, they let us know how to get your bank accounts done, how to get a phone, all sort of
Great.
things. They will feed you for the initial couple of days, right, because you just don't
Sure.
have anything. So
Okay.
these students association helped a lot. So that was, we had a nice Indian students association, and they're like two specifically appointed, it's called new students coordinators. So you
Okay.
can bug them with any questions, anything. They have like formats ready, they have a questionnaire, FAQs, things ready. So it's really helpful. People ask all sorts of questions. I probably asked lots of stupid questions, but they are very patient and they answer all your questions. So,
Great.
and this
Great.
was nice because after I joined Iowa State University, I joined ISU and I became a new students coordinator for the next year because I
Okay.
really loved that idea of how helpful they were. Because,
Right.
even for the parents, knowing that, there is this community who is ready to help, like you're just not going, landing on the airport, and then you don't know where to go. They are bringing you from the airport, they are bringing you into their homes, they are giving you
Right.
food, they are clearly letting you know how things are, they're making you help that transition. So it was really nice that way.
Great. Great. So, kind of this helped you initially, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it helped you with all the basic formalities.
Mm-hmm.
But if I ask you how your life changed there, was everything as per your expectations, better or worse?
Life completely changed because living in India, living with your parents, you are quite privileged. We do not appreciate that, we do not understand that when we are there. We think, oh, we have to ask permission, we have so much restrictions. We fail to see the privilege we have. I always tell that over here that you have no idea how privileged you are. Like when I talk to American people who have lived here,
Right.
they feel jealous about how privileged our lives have been. So that way life was a complete change. You are completely on your own. you know. There's no mom telling you to wake up, it's time for school or college, it is your responsibility to go to bed on time, to wake up on time. You have to prepare your own breakfast, you have to prepare your own lunch, you go, you come back, you are responsible for cleaning your lunch boxes, making dinner, cleaning your house, every single thing is your responsibility. And then you are on limited funds, so you have to be extremely careful. Laundry, you have to use money to do wash your laundry, dry your clothes, so you can't just take your clothes every day to the laundromat to clean it. So you have to be, you think things like that, where in India, yeah, everyday clothes get washed.
Right,
Not
right.
here. You accumulate them for a week and then you go and clean them on the weekend because you
That
don't
too
have
being
time.
washed by mom.
Yeah, so everything you have to do by yourself, going, getting a phone, setting up your bank accounts, everything is on you. It's completely your responsibility. There is nobody looking out for you over there. So it is definitely a complete change from what it is over here.
Okay.
Plus, there are no shortcuts. It's not like, hey, I'll pay you 100, just do this faster. No,
Mm.
everything has to be by the book. Everything is in order. There is no jugaad like we have in India.
Right, right,
So
right.
you have to learn those things. Like, there's no shortcuts over here. You have to go by the book. You have to do everything by the rule.
And as in India, we say that, like, apart from doing laundry, right?
Hmm.
Cooking is one task, right? So, did you know cooking beforehand,
No.
or you? So, how did you manage?
It was quite an evolution. Like, sometimes now when I like whip up a meal in 10 minutes because my toddler is awake and asking for food, I think back to my days where my mom taught me the basics, but at that time you're like, yeah, I'll manage, you don't really think so much into it. And we came here and it was me and my roommate, and we were both the same way, hardly knew any cooking. So
Okay,
cooking initially used to be like we had no idea how to make stuff. And just going to the grocery store is pretty daunting because there are like, five different types of potatoes, different types of tomatoes, there are like 10 different types of apples. You're like, what is all of this, and the size of each thing. If you ask home, hey mom, I want to make curry, and she'll be like, yeah, take two potatoes, but potatoes here are this big.
okay,
So things like that. But it cooking was definitely a learning experience. Initial days, we our cooking was specifically, we used to take a big pressure cooker, put rice, dal, veggies, whatever spices we thought should go in there, put
okay.
water, pressure cook, eat whatever comes out, because that's all you get. We were vegetarian, both of us, so it's not like there's abundance of food outside. That was another thing. You always think, yeah, I'll find food, but if you're a vegetarian, it's really difficult to find like filling healthy food. You How much french fries can you eat? So
Right, right,
uh,
right.
yeah, cooking was something I would highly recommend people to like learn some basics and come, because it takes a toll. And then once in a while you get bored and you're missing your mom's special food, like you want to eat pav bhaji but you have absolutely no idea how to make it. So I mean, those kind of things, it was fun also, but it was like those times when you're like, oh man, like, is this life really the one I dreamt of or not? So
It's a lot
it was
easier
fun.
now because thanks to WhatsApp, video conference, thanks to
Yeah,
technology, right? So you
yes,
can
for
interact with your
technology,
mom
definitely.
immediately and get step by step instructions,
Yeah,
right? So
yes.
she can
Yeah,
actually
WhatsApp
watch
calling
you
is
cook.
free now. Yeah, we that time
Right.
we had to pay for a video, like
Yeah.
for calling cards to call. So that's why.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. Now, as you are talking about your roommate, right? So, was she an Indian or belonging to some other nationality?
No, she was Indian. That was
Okay.
specifically my choice. Like, I think that's how like a lot of people, they prefer to have Indian roommates because you have so much in common. And then we were trying to find people who were like in similar field, so that you
Mm.
have like a shared interest and you can talk about things and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah, she was from Delhi, and she was also
Okay.
doing her PhD in biochemistry, so it was a lot easier for
A
us to
lot
gel
of
in.
it. Yeah. Right. But let's say you might have met some friends or you made some friends who are Indians. But in your university, I believe there will be students belonging to other nationalities also. And
Mm-hmm.
then still the major group would be Americans only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were how did they, react with about your presence there? Were you able to make friends with them easily, or there was like, no, we still need some time to actually get to know you people? What was
You
that
know,
experience?
people in general were very friendly. I think it is more of our inhibition. We
Mm-hmm.
feel somehow, inferior. We feel like, uh, what if we say something stupid? What will they think of us? Things like that. So I think people over here were very friendly. They are all in about to help you. Like I was stunned because people are so helpful. Like we used to have these small maps and we had to figure out, which direction you're going and what bus to take. There's no Google Maps at that time. So the university used to give us like a map of the town. So, if you're just on the road and you're looking into the map trying to make sense of where you are going, where you have to go, somebody will stop and help you. Like you don't even have to ask for help. Like that was one of the things I was really shocked about, like how helpful people were. So in general, I don't think there was that kind of a like inhibition. I think inhibitions are mostly from my side. I guess I would be like more comfortable around Indians, so I would like to hang out with Indians. Little bit disadvantage when you're living with them, you have, from the same stream, you are from the same thing. So I had like one guy, his name was Rahul, so he came from India and he was doing PhD in genetics too. So we both came together on the same plane, sitting by side by side. So we it was kind of like you already come together with a friend, so you're navigating those things together, but eventually you branch out, and when you go to, your labs and stuff, then you meet
Mm-hmm.
other people and you make friends. And it was not a issue at that time. It was once I overcame my own inhibitions, I think everything went smoothly.
Okay.
Initially, I know there are sometimes like American English you can probably still understand, but we had a lot of students from other countries as well, like China, right? And their accent is difficult to understand. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was starting my lab, first rotation, when I was doing, a Chinese girl reached out to me. Her name is Yiran. And she wanted to meet because we were both starting together in the same lab. And she was like, it would be nice if we are friends. Her English at that time was terrible. Like she could barely speak English. It was really, really bad. We somehow communicated and we managed to meet at an ice cream shop near our house. We
Okay.
went there. We took paper napkins and pen, and we drew and talked to each other because her English was so bad. Like she couldn't speak English. Like we still think back upon that time and we laugh about it. Now she's married to an American guy. She
Okay.
speaks impeccable English. And we always think about that time when we were drawing stuff and communicating, because she
Kidding.
was like, yeah, my English was terrible, I had no idea.
Right.
But
Right.
those things, even those things didn't stop us. We had a very good friendship. We are friends to till this day, and it is like just nice. So it's just not about American people, or there's just people from so all over the world, right? Like even we have friends from Pakistan. It's like people, you just, when you meet them, you're like, hey, they're exactly like us. Like there's no difference. So
Right.
it's
Right.
beautiful experience when you meet people from all over the country, all over the world, in fact.
Yes. 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 And like in India, we say every day is a festival, right? We have 365 days, we have 365 festivals.
Mhm.
You belong to Kolkata, where Durga Puja is celebrated like anything. Right? No
Mhm.
place in the world would celebrate Durga Puja like it's done in
Right.
Bengal, right?
Right.
So, what was your take when you were in US? Because you are missing out on everything, right?
Mhm.
So you might have been communicating with your family members or any of your friend also that they are celebrating. So how did you cope up during those times?
So the beautiful thing about here is, people are here from every place, right? They have created their own versions of all the festivals.
Okay,
So
great.
we had quite a few people from Bengal,
Mm-hmm.
and they had created a small association, and in
Mm-hmm.
whatever way they could,
Mm.
we celebrated each and every festival. Like,
Wow.
obviously Durga Puja was not a 5 day, pandal hopping experience like you do in Bengal,
Mm.
but it's still one day. Everybody brings cooks food at home, and they bring in, right, for everybody to eat. So you share food, it's the same laughter, you sit and talk together. So you miss it, but also there are substitutes for it over here. So they have created now, and as that was back in 2009, 10, when I'm talking about. Now in bigger cities, they actually have like 5 or 6 Durga Pujas taking place. So if you want,
Okay.
you can do like, you can experience what is called pandal hopping in Calcutta, where you
Okay.
go from one place to another and eat food and mingle with people.
Okay.
So I think that is really, really beautiful. They have managed to create their own versions. It's usually, you can't celebrate it on the day because there's no
Hmm.
holiday. So, but you
Right.
do it on whatever weekend is after
Hmm.
that. So for every festival, Diwali, Holi. So it's like now you don't really miss those things, because if you want, you can celebrate it over here. We used to play Holi in university. Indian
Okay.
Students Association organized a Holi day because it was too cold in March for us. So we waited until like May or June when it was warm enough, and then we celebrated Holi. But we did Holi, so it was
And what
nice. It
was the
is on
reaction
our
of
off
other
day.
students?
Oh, they loved it. They joined on it. They really, really love the different cultural things that we bring in.
Okay.
Like, we used to have a big event for Diwali, and it was always full. Like, people, the tickets were always sold out. People love Indian food. There are people, they love the culture, they love our clothes. So, and there are people who don't appreciate it in every country. So
Huh,
it's
right.
not like that. But overall, I have felt a lot of warmth and a lot of acceptance over here.
Great.
People
Great.
are really interested in your culture.
Hmm. Wow. So overall, it's like initial hiccups, but then the journey became smooth, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You
so,
have to
but
adjust to the change.
right, right. So you have to be, forthcoming, right? You have to be ready to accept that. S-
Yeah, yeah.
So, if I ask you, how much time did you take actually to adjust to this new life?
Oh, probably like 6 months, definitely.
Hmm.
Because, initial 1 month, everything is just so new. So it is everything is exciting you. Just going to the grocery shop is so much fun, because, these huge grocery shops you've never seen before, and things like that. So you are in that mode, and you have like a brand new apartment, right, which is empty, and you need stuff for that apartment. And it's so, I think first one is initially is like full excitement, and then it starts slowly starts to settle that it's all on you. You are all alone, and there are times, the time difference also. It's not like you can just call up your parents
Hmm.
anytime you want, right? You don't want to call them at 2 a.m. giving them a little tiny heart attack, like, why is she calling at 2 a.m. at night, right? So those kind of things. Then there's that phase where you're like, what, did I do the correct thing? I want to go back. When can I go back? Things like that. And then eventually the weather changes, everything. You finish a semester at school, you've kind of gotten the hang of it. So at least 6 7 months, I would say, took me to be like, okay, this is my life now. This
Okay.
is how we do things. So
If I ask you, if you could remember one thing, uh, basically what I trying to say that you might felt that okay, you are ill prepared. You should have, you know, done it before
Mhm.
so that you couldn't have faced any issues after coming
Mhm.
here. Can you remember any one thing?
Definitely cooking,
Okay.
because it's food. You have to eat 3 times a day, right? I wish I had broadened my horizon a little bit. At that time, you are very apprehensive of trying new things also. Till this day, I am a pure vegetarian, which a lot of people find shocking because it's like, what do you eat? Like, a lot of my non-Indian friends would be like, you're a vegetarian? What do you eat all day? Like, they found it really, really surprising. But I would say cooking specifically, I would think that was something. And then cleaning too, we are so used to having helps around the house that you're not doing a lot of those things by yourself every single day,
Mm.
and those things are not fun. You don't Who likes to wash dishes? Nobody likes to wash dishes.
Right.
So
Right.
things like that, getting into a lot more discipline with that kind of life, I wish I had done that earlier on. Maybe, when you know that you're going to come here, maybe start doing some of those chores yourself. So you are a little bit more prepared when you come here. It is not such a big shock to you when you have to do every single thing by hand by yourself. So those kind of things, definitely, I think. Or
Okay.
also spend a little less money in the initial months, because
Right.
you get too happy. You are like, oh yes, I really really love
Mm.
this lamp, I need this right now. And then, now looking back, I was like, okay, that was like really really bad. You start hoarding stuff.
Mm.
And another thing is, you get a lot of free stuff in US, especially when you're a new student. You get tons of free stuff. You don't really need everything. You don't have to go and get everything.
And if I take you back to those specific 6 months, right? If I ask you one memory which was like the worst day of your 6 months, and one you can still remember the best day, something which you still remember, wow, something of that sort happened. Can you recall anything of that sort?
I think one thing. So I came to US on 4th of August. My
Okay.
birthday was on 19th. That was the first time it really hit me, like how lonely I felt over there. It was just all new people. And because I talked about spending, I had brought $2,000 with me, and keeping the rent for next month, I had literally spent every money, all everything I had. I mean, some, yeah, you have to pay like deposit for the apartment, deposit for the phone and things like that, but other than that, I bought a lot of stupid things which I shouldn't have. And I had no money left, and I didn't realize that it gets cold at night, and the small blanket I had gotten from home was not doing it. And all my friends, they were, mostly everybody was in the similar boat. And that was the day I was feeling so sad, just thinking about, how big birthdays are in India and how special your parents make you feel right from the moment you wake up. And
Right.
here, you can make a few phone calls, and that's pretty much it. So my friends all chipped in together, and they bought me a blanket.
Okay.
So that was like, it was a small gesture, but looking back at that now, it was a huge gesture at that time,
Right.
because
Right.
it was so thoughtful. It was not cheap, so they all chipped in little
Hmm.
money, all of them, and they bought me this thing, and they bought me a cake. One of the seniors, they had just gotten a new TV, so they just got gave me their old TV. And I think that was like one day where you felt like, your friends can be your family too.
Right.
So I think that was a really really nice day.
Wow. Okay. And in the end, if I ask you, what will your suggestions be? Because life has changed a lot by the
Hmm.
time you came here, and now, thanks to technology, all the developments, etc.
Hmm.
But still, what, because lonely feeling will always be there,
Hmm.
even the technology is there or not, right?
Hmm.
And there will certain problems which are bound to come. So,
Hmm.
what will be your suggestions to the newcomers?
Definitely have your goal very clear in your head, that what you are coming here for. A lot of people just see this as an opportunity to get away from, the restrictions you have in India. It's like a freedom thing for you. I have seen people come here and get lost in the parties and, the drinking and all of that, and it's very easy to lose focus. But you have to be very strong in that matter, that what am I coming here to do? What am I trying to study? What is my end goal after this? I have a full life ahead of me. This is not just, this 4 5 years of college which I have to spend. I have to spend a whole life ahead of me. So I think that is very important, that you have a very strong goal in your head.
Right.
You enjoy your life, but do not deviate from that goal. Do not let, the fun have the best of you. I think that is really important. Like, you you have to have that sense of, I need to accomplish something. Just coming to US or going to some other foreign country is just not enough. It's easy. Anybody can come, but you have to come here, you have to study, you have to accomplish something, you have to create your life for yourself. And I think that is really important, very, very important to have in your head. Have a very strong head in in
Yeah.
that way, that you don't
Right.
deviate from your thing.
Right. And anything that you would like to add yourself, if I have not have asked, but you still want to, say it?
uh it's, life is not easy. It's not all, bells and whistles as it seems out to be. uh Life is difficult, but it's also nice. There are a lot of perks, and I have lived, after living here, I have lived in Bangalore for 2 years. I have worked over there, and then I came back. And it is like, there are two type of people. Either you have to choose a life. If you always in that, like, two boats, trying to live both the places, you'll never be settled anywhere. So you have to choose a life for yourself. Life here is different from life in India,
Right.
and you
Right.
have to choose that for yourself. And you have to have that clear communication with your parents also, so they also know that, what
Hmm.
your thing is. Because everybody thinks that I'm going to go to US, study, and then come back and, do this. But
Hmm.
I don't know what percentage it is, but I would think it is a very, very low percentage of people who actually go back after that.
Okay.
So I think that is something, parents should have clear. They should know what your goals in life are, and then you should also have some plan if you are like an only child. That, in that sense, like, what is your plans for
Hmm.
them also. So I think choosing your responsibilities very clearly is very important.
Yeah, because in India, like parents feel responsible about the kids, and
Mm-hmm.
when it's an only child, be it
Mm-hmm.
a son or a daughter,
Right.
kids also feel that responsibility towards their old parents, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
there has to be a nice balance so that
Mm-hmm.
nobody suffers, right?
Yeah. If you give them hope that, you're coming back after 4 years,
Hmm.
and then you don't come back, it breaks their heart a little bit. So
Right.
I think that kind of clear communication with your parents is important, where they are also on board with your plan, that they know that there is a high chance that you are not going to come back, you're going to make a life for yourself over there. So I think that is very important, because no matter where you come from, even if you're from a very rich family, it's your parents,
Right.
and without their support you cannot be where you are. So, even if money is not a problem, there's still relationships you need to maintain.
So planning needs to be done sitting together, right? It
Yes.
it shouldn't come as a shock to anybody,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, great. So, but despite that, if we want to conclude it, we can still say that despite the ups and downs you felt here, it was still, it is in fact a very valuable and enriching experience, right?
Oh, definitely. You learn so much. I honestly think I wouldn't have learned so many things if I was, like, I studied in India. I grew up, just the basic simple thing of, when you meet people from so many different countries, it humbles you. It humbles you, like, you see where everybody has come from. There are so many things. When you are in India, you think speaking in English, proper English is the goal.
Right.
And the better English you speak, the more cooler you are. And then you come here, and you see that people are not ashamed. English is my second language, and I'll make mistakes. That's fine. Most Americans you meet only speak English, and you use, in Indians mostly, at least speak three languages, right? Everybody almost speaks their regional language, one
Right,
more language.
right, right.
So you are a multilinguistic person. You should be proud of that fact.
Mm.
It is not a problem if you cannot say a proper grammatically
Uh,
correct
uh,
English sentence, because there are people from so many other countries who don't even, like China, they don't, English is not their first language in school, right? They study everything in Chinese, but they still come here and they make a life for themselves. So it humbles you down a lot. You see things what really matter and what is not that important anymore. So
right, right. Great. So you really gave us good insights. Thank you,
I hope
Pooja. It
so.
was really lovely talking to you, and I'm
Hmm.
sure that to our viewers, to our listeners, and to all those students who aspire to go to different countries, right? And they will
Hmm.
get good value by whatever suggestions you have give.
Yeah,
So
yes, definitely.
yeah, thank you, Pooja.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.